Okay. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another car review today, and we're having a fun one. So behind you guys.
Where is it?
Well, where is she?
It's up there.
Is this Mazdaspeed3, which, if you guys have been watching for a very long time, y'all know this car. Maybe not in this form, but in its previous form. And today I'm with
much cleaner form.
I'm here with my longtime friend Michael, who has built this car over the last like 5 years.
Completely alone.
Right. And yeah, we're going to be talking about the joys of the Speed3, the build list, and then we're going to go for a fun ride. So, for those who don't know Michael, this is big turbo Speed3. We're going to go through the build list first and kind of talk about the build. So, Michael, take it away. You have the floor.
It is stock. No, it's got a... I don't really want to give myself up.
Well, come on, dude. Who are you grudge racing that's going to care?
No, okay, so it's got a BNRS4, which is a fairly large turbo.
Fairly large.
Aux fuel. And anybody that knows what a Speed3 is, they're going to know what that is.
It's port injected, pretty much. It's got
it's got dual injection.
Pretty much to avoid the handicaps that come with direct injection.
Yeah.
Not being able to clean valves.
Well, not being able to upgrade the injectors is the big part.
Right.
But I wanted it so I can clean the backside of the valves too.
Right.
Don't worry about it. I've got EGR delete. Don't come after me, government. And I'm also not catless.
EPA, if you heard that, you didn't.
Completely catless. Stock catback.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all the power modes. I've got RX-8 rims. I'm gonna get some good tires, probably the same one Jordan's got.
Yep. These Continentals.
5% all the way around.
Yeah.
Wrap satin pearl.
Yep, which he did himself.
Did myself.
If you guys remember this car in its original state, he had stock Speed3 wheels on it. It was red, and it had a black stripe that he did on it. But then he was like, I want to do a little something extra. So he went and wrapped the entire car in this satin white pearl, which, like he said, this car is just really, really built.
And it's dirty.
So
I've got EBC yellow stuff pads all the way around, stock rotors.
Which is why the wheels are so dirty.
Yeah. Also, I forgot about the front mount, which I want to upgrade to a S-Line Mishimoto.
Right.
And also get a crash bar to fit it. But
Right.
It's like twice the size of that. Keep my boost air temps down because they're sitting about 30 to 40 degrees above ambient almost all the time.
It's always running a little warmer than he would like. So
that'll help with knock too.
This car
self-tuned.
Right.
So,
yeah, Michael did tune this car.
I had a base map pretty much made, and then I took it away from there.
Right, and you just ran with it.
Yeah.
So this car on a V dyno, so not on an actual roller dynoed about 386 horsepower and 391 pound-feet of torque. So keep that in mind.
Peak numbers.
Right. This car weighs 2,300 pounds.
30.
30?
32.
Really? Is that heavy?
Yeah.
Why do I keep saying 23? That's lighter than my car. Anyway, it's 3,200 pounds. So very lightweight for a car.
Numbers around.
Right. The numbers makes it. But so this car weighs 3,200 pounds. So 400 horsepower and 3,200 pounds is very, very fast. As you'll see later on, we've actually already filmed the driving clips. We're just doing all the interviews and stuff here. So suspension wise, I'll let you take the floor on this.
Suspension is a Bilstein B14 because I was too poor at the time to get the B16s for an extra like $100. No, it's not. It happens. It's more than that. But so they're just not adjustable damping, but I can raise and lower the car to my desire. So
right, and it rides really good even with the lack of adjustable dampers. Yeah. This car does also have solid engine mounts, which you don't like.
They're not solid, but they are
semi-solid.
They're the medium stiffness from AWR.
Right. So not ideal per se in terms of daily driver comforts. A lot of NVH in the car because of that, but it still does a really good job with it.
Mirrors are non-existent. You might as well just take them off. Just vibrate.
So you've also got a short throw, if I remember correctly, in this car. You don't. Stock shifter.
Just a shift knob.
Well, because yours feels different than like Ron's, for example. So there's 3 of these in our friend group.
Hayden's has the short throw.
Hayden's does have the short throw. That's right. And
stock shifter, I believe.
Right. But this
shifter bushings. Solid shifter bushings, which makes it not have so much slop.
Yeah, but I guess let's take a look under the hood so we can see the motor swap you had to do, which we haven't talked about yet.
Dude.
So this car, the entire reason he went crazy on the build on this car is because it unfortunately lost a valve the end of 2021.
Yes.
and it was down for most of 2022.
Oh, I forgot about the watt box.
Yep, which he just did. This is the most recent mod.
You can't even see. I had to splice in 2 wires here, 1 wire here, and 2 in here somewhere.
Which you guys heard the watt box in action during the glamour shots because of the 2-step he pulled off. He did that mainly because these things lean out completely with a Cobb no lift shift with port injection.
With port injection, yeah, because you can't tell these to turn off when the ECU does because it's on its own system.
Right. And
this mass airflow sensor always gets flow when you're no lift, so it's always reading, hey, I'm getting this much, I need this much fuel, while the stock injectors are off, and it just knocks away.
Right.
I hit almost 6 degrees of knock retard one time when I hit redline on accident.
Which, if you guys are unfamiliar with the terminology of engine knock,
not rod knock.
No.
It's detonation, I think is the proper term for
6
it.
degrees of spark knock is not a good time.
Yeah,
that is an engine killer. So this actually has,
killer for sure.
Right, this has a like 50 or 60,000 mile CX7 engine in it. Because for those who don't know, Speed3's and CX7s
Sadly,
are almost the same.
it's not a Gen 2.
Right.
I wish it was a Gen 2. So it's
still a Gen 1 motor.
Yeah.
But if you guys can kind of, stick the camera down in your engine bay, get a view of that B&R S4, that big old boy definitely makes a KO4 look small, which it is. But outside of that, I mean, everything's mostly stock intake manifold, I think. So you haven't changed any manifolds, which is why it still sounds good, because Speed3s kind of sound like dog water when you put equal length manifolds on.
They start sounding like 4 cylinders after that.
They sound less Subaru-y, more Honda-ish.
Yeah.
No offense to my Honda boys.
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's a 4-cylinder, but
it's just what 4-cylinders do.
I mean, there's a reason why I have stock exhaust too. I just don't like something I want.
Yeah, these cars do
makes 27 pounds of boost safely on stock catback.
Right. Just
catless.
And I think we've covered practically. Oh, you did a battery location. So
the battery is in the trunk with a custom sub box, which I can show.
Yeah.
Completely custom. Everything on this car was done by me. And
yeah.
R.I.P. the boy.
Yeah, I've got the matching sticker. We look like a little car club cruising around with that. So Michael also works, so disregard his work stuff being in here. But
battery and sub box.
Yep. Check that out.
12-inch sub.
Sounds good too. But this car.
Yeah, we did run spark plugs last night.
Yeah. So Michael's car is probably one of the most meticulously built Speed3s I've ever come across and ever seen.
To swap some GT taillights in there too.
Yeah, so he's got GT taillights from the Grand Touring model Speed3s.
Which both my friends have.
Yep. Both.
Well, Ron and Hayden both have GTs.
I know, I'm kidding.
You hear me?
What?
What I said?
Oh, probably. But
you'll see it later.
So these are all the companies that had parts in the car at some point or another. So
not sponsored. The only thing that sponsored this build was my wallet. And but we don't want to talk about that.
But yeah, I think that's the build. So
that might be too pinpointing a location. You might have to edit that out. We'll just put bank in there.
Yeah. I'll just put like a Texas Switch bank over there. No, but so like I said, we have 3 of these in the friend group. 2 of which are big turbo. This one and our friend Ron Speed3, which was a Copart rebuild. And then our friend Hayden, as you guys saw last year, also picked up a Speed3. And it's stock turbo, but it still makes really good power. I mean, they are very convincing.
I mean, his made 320 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad for a stock turbo.
Right, not at all. But I think we've wrapped up all we could talk about here.
Yeah.
Guess it's time for us to go for the ride that we already filmed.
That's fine. It's fine.
All right. So I apologize for any shaky video. I'm doing my best to keep this stabilized, but we'll see how that goes. Because I don't have a windshield mount that's put together properly, and so we're rocking the tripod that I'm using to record all this stuff with, and just hoping GoPro image stabilization can do the rest. So we've already gone over the build sheets. For those who are unfamiliar with Michael, we have been friends for a very long time. This is going on 11 years this year that I've known this kid. We met in 8th grade in a science class because neither of us had lab partners for a lab assignment. And so we got partnered together, and the rest is history. Here we are, 11 years later. So for those who have been watching the channel, so fun fact, I met him 2 years.
Taco Bell sponsored, by the way.
Yep, bringing that back. That's a throwback just to the early days of the channel, which I was about to bring up. I met Michael 2 years before I started this channel, and long before I intended to ever do car content on this channel. Michael was a part of the first car review I ever did, part of several other car reviews I ever did, and you know, it's just a very long-term friendship here. And this is the second, of course, if you guys are unfamiliar with this car specifically, this is the second review we've done on it. Looking at it, you may not recognize it, but about 2018, we did a video on this car back when it was on a quote-unquote stage 1 setup, about as close to stage 1 as you would call it.
Intake.
Yeah, and of course now the build is much more dramatic and much more aggressive. Michael's car history, we go through it every video that he's in, that any car reviews he's in, so we're going to talk about it once again. I think it's, no, it's not Jason. But Michael's first car was a 2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee. I think it was a WJ chassis, 2-wheel drive, 4-liter straight 6. May not have been the fastest thing in the world, but you know those cars are unkillable. We had quite the argument between the Jeep and the Sport Track because there's similarities in size and engine displacement, both being 6 cylinders with 5-speed. No, yours was a 4-speed, wasn't it? The Jeep? It was a 5? So a battle of 5-speed, 2-wheel drive, 6-cylinder off-road vehicles when I had the Sport Track in the early days. We did eventually settle that beef, but that's a story for a different time. Then you got the Taurus, which was probably one of the coolest NA Taurus builds you ever see. We did a video on that during the early days of the car review series, early days of owning that car. It was probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest, NA Taurus in the country because of just the extent of modifications it had done to it.
Probably the only one that had modifications. No, right. Actually, you know what? A lot of people did follow me on Instagram for Tauruses, Tauri.
Right. And he had that car for, I think, about a year or two. And then he bought an Octane Red 2018 Scat Pack. And I think it was not too long after that's when he bought this. Yeah. He had the 2018 Scat Pack for about 2 or 3 years. Bought this in the meantime because he wanted a manual car. It was going to be kind of a fun little project car. I think you meant to actually daily this car.
Yeah. I did, first bought actually. I did for a while.
So the whole point of this car when he first bought it was as his daily. And then of course now it's the garage car. So Michael bought this car. We talked about the story in the first review. He got gapped by one.
He's doing that voltage thing again.
What voltage thing? Oh, your battery?
Voltage, yeah, where it drops down to like 11 volts. And
weird.
Computer can't. I just had to get a watt pole and it'll be fine.
I gotcha.
You ready?
Oh, here we go. I guess so. So here we go. It's about to be scary. Gosh. Holy crap. Way faster than 2018. This car is terrifying. It is a giggle machine too, because there's not really, like, I mean, I've ridden a lot of fun cars, most of which have been his, but this one always makes me laugh the most, and not in a negative way, because it just makes me giddy how fast this car is. So then after you got this car, you traded the red Charger in for the Ram, which you had very briefly. We did a review on that truck as well.
I had that for almost a year, right? Almost
a year, I think. I think it was like 9 months. And then you got your orange Scat Pack, which you kept for about 6 months.
Custom ordered for 3 months.
Right, it was 3 months. I don't know why I always thought it was like 6 months.
Because I waited on it for so long.
Right. And then he got rid of that for his F-150, which he now has. And holy crap, what is going on here? Oh, never mind, there's a...
Is this new?
Yeah, this is new. Holy unpaved. Oh,
slow down.
The suspension.
Oh my God, my steering wheel.
And that is where the story ends on his car history. This car is probably the fastest of the group, and a lot of people are probably going to be like, you know, all especially the American Muscle fans in the room are going to be like, oh, no, you can't be faster than a Scat Pack. That's not possible. But when you're making as much power as this car makes, which is I think was about 386.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Estimated. I mean, it was a V dyno, but they say the margin of error between an actual dyno and V dyno.
91 foot-pounds of torque.
Right. So he makes a little bit less torque than I do in my car, but he's got the top end for days. But granted, I'm running a very small turbo. He's running a very large turbo. So obviously that's going to be some discrepancies there in the power band of the car.
Yeah, this thing's all top end. Yeah. Carries 24 pounds of boost to redline.
Right.
Peaks about 27-ish.
Right. And like this thing is just crazy. And of course, power to weight's a thing. For some reason, a lot of people seem to just forget power to weight exists. They look at a car, especially one like this, be like, it only makes 380, but it weighs like 2,300 pounds.
Yeah. I also have RX-8 rims too.
Yeah,
which helps a lot.
Which we'll talk, of course, but we're filming this before we've actually filmed the glamour shots in the interview portion. So. We've talked about that previously at this point, hopefully.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's fine.
What?
Well, I was bringing up the handling part, so maybe we've talked about it, but
maybe
it's got handling mods as far as like being able to grip the corners.
Right, and this car. So when we went to the Dragon, this car was slightly turned down unintentionally. He had
wasn't even tuned proper. It was on Buddy's garbage tune. It
was on effectively a base map.
It should have been.
But it made probably like what 320, 330 at the time.
I don't even know.
Made about the same amount of power my car does. But that was before when we were up there. He was still ripping the corners up on bad tires that were like getting ready to start delaminating. It looked like, and then like a weaker tune, and he was still shredding the Dragon. And I wish I could have been in the passenger seat to see it, or I wish that my car had better tires and was on suspension too, so I could have kept up. But the little bit I did see of it, this thing just ate up. He just eats corners up with the suspension mods this car's got.
I do wonder about sway bars because it does kind of
have some body roll to it.
I mean,
I really need to do better about stiffening my neck when you do that, because I look like a bobblehead on video whenever you do that to me.
That's hot.
Yo. But this is probably my favorite car he's owned. It's not even probably, it is my favorite car he's owned. A lot of people know my disdain for Mopar. It's just life experiences. I've never been good with them. He redeemed them, but I still like this more. A lot of people are going to say there's no replacement for a V8. It's right here. When you have a car that makes this much power.
Charged 4-cylinder, especially with built motor.
Yeah, which this doesn't have. Which is what's scary. This car makes this much power.
You would still end up having not spent as much money. And say my Charger, which was $58,000. I think I have like maybe 12 in this.
Right.
And it would tear that a new one.
Yeah. On the corners and in the straights.
Now the Charger was fun in corners, a wide body, but no, this thing
kills it.
100%. It's more fun being a manual. I don't know. I drove my automatic in manual mode all the time, so it's like, why not just?
That is true. Michael did.
I almost never drove in auto.
Which is weird because I do. Like, I only really use the paddles if I'm going to be driving aggressive.
I always drove in track with paddles.
That's true. Every time I was in the car, it was a track mode.
But it was just more fun.
Right. And this car has the rawness of it, and that's probably one of the best parts about it. Yo. So out of all the hot hatches, I think if you're comparing them to the era, this was probably the most raw and probably the most terrifying because because I know a lot of people are going to mention Speed3s and torque steer. That's kind of, they go hand in hand. A lot of people are like,
I don't really feel it, but when other people drive it, they say they feel it. I guess I'm just used to holding on to the wheel.
Right. And like the one time I drove it, which was all the way back in 2018, I think the day we filmed the original review, I drove the car that day. And the torque steer is a thing. But I think because it's just making a lot more bottom end torque because of the smaller turbo.
It just spins.
Right. Oh, you can't hear.
This thing makes 391 at right at 4,000 RPM.
Right.
But I don't know what the stock turbo would have made.
Right. For there being a baseball game going on, there's nobody here. But anyway, go follow Michael on Instagram.
Yeah.
Go check out his YouTube channel he doesn't upload to. We're trying to get him back into uploading. I'm doing my best to convince him.
Check out my TikTok. There's all kinds of stuff on there.
He does post a lot on TikTok. It's
a lot easier.
It's also just Kindlestone. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content coming soon on the channel. You know, we've got 3 Speed3s in the friend group now, so plenty of builds to go around. We might do a video of Ron's at some point too, because Ron, a CWDCT, the big Veloster N guy, also has one that is also big turbo, but it's a different turbo, and it's also a Copart rebuild, where this one isn't. But anyway, guys,
I would have rather have had a Copart rebuild than buying one.
I mean, you spent a lot more than he did on this car when you got it.
Twice as much as he paid for the car, just for the car itself, and he already had a big turbo. He already had
all the upgrades. But anyway, guys, we will see you guys later. Stay tuned for more content.
Oh my God.
Okay, well, Hayden just has the small turbo.
That kid.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but he's got everything else to support it.
Right. All he needs is the turbo.
All he needs is a turbo. All he needs is an S3, and he can make pretty much what I'm at now if we max it out. I have more, but like I don't want to go that far on a stock though. Right.
But anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. We will see you guys later. Have a great day.